Now, we want to talk about inverse function. Please, as you listen, God bless you. Now, when we are talking about inverse function, we are talking about inverting the functions. That means you ensure you don't make x equal to the formula. That means from the function given to you, for example, you are given what? Maybe f of x equal to let's say 2x, for example. Now, to find the inverse of the function now. What you just need to do is to make x equal to the formula and makes that your new that makes make x your new function. That means make x equal to the formula and that becomes your inverse function. That means that this function, the inverse of this function is x, meaning that we want to have what f of x, which is equal to y, equal to 2x. Therefore, x now be equal to y over 2. So therefore, this one becomes the inverse of this one. You now change this one to x. So you have actually converted it to what? An inverse of this function now. Now, inverse does not really mean maybe when you have 1 over 2. In this case, now you now be 2 over 1. No. Probably you now turn it to 1 over 2x. No. It means that making the x, which is a dependent, making x, which is independent variable, to become a dependent variable. So you have actually inverted the function. You have actually taken the inverse of the function. Because if you check this function, x is an independent variable, y f of x, which is y is a dependent variable. But when you now end up turning it into an inverse function, we discover that the y, which is a dependent variable, becomes what? Independent, while the x which is independent, become dependent. Now, let's take an example. Let's say f of x equal to what? 2x plus 1, then 3 plus 5x, for instance. Now, say find the what? The inverse of the function. What we are saying now is that if you check now, my y is a what? Is a dependent variable, which is what? What I want to have here is simply what? F of x, which is equal to y. F of x, which is equal to y, becomes what? Equal to what? 2x plus 1 over what? 3 plus 5x. Now we're now going to make y x is already the formula by cross multiplying. So I would have what? 3y plus 5xy equal to 2x plus 1. So collect like terms by making what? X stay known. So I would have 3y minus 1 equal to 2x minus 5xy. Now, what is common on both sides? X is common. I would have 2 minus 5y. If you bring out x out, what will happen here will now be 2. Bring out x here, now be 5y. And that's what we have now. Now be what? 3y minus 1. Now, making x the formula, meaning that you remove this 2 minus 5y on that side by dividing both sides by 8. So this one will cancel this. So what I would have now, x equal to what? 3y minus 1 over 2 minus 5y. So what is your inverse now? So inverse of what? Of x, of the function, becomes what? Now, I will now write this one as inverse of the function. Then this one will now be what? 3x minus 1 over what? 2 what? Minus 5x. So this one is now the inverse of this function, this particular function given to us. That's what I'm saying. So it's simply just what? Now, what you have ended up doing is that you have made the x now depending on y. That's my explanation. So y is now a dependent variable. Y is now independent variable, y x is dependent variable. So we have changed it. So we now write it like this now. We now change this one to what? X, change it to what? X. So that means we have inverted the function. We have to take the inverse of the function. Now, what you just need to do anytime you are given an inverse function, just take what? The x, make x subject to formula instead of, because we are giving y, so just make x formula. Then from there, you change the function like what I did. Now there's a fourth, find the what? The inverse of the function f of x equals to what? 3 plus x over x minus 2, for which the inverse function does not what? For which what? Okay, they can say find the value of x. Find the value of x. For which, let me put it, for which the inverse of f of x does not exist or is undefined. Now we want to find what the value of x for which the function inverse of the function, inverse of the what? The function f of x equal to what? 3 plus x over x minus 2 is undefined. Now what we're going to do now simply is first of all find the inverse first, and we are going to turn f of x to be equal to y, which is what? 3 plus x over x minus 2. We cross multiply. So we're going to have this times is we have xy minus 2y equal to what? This times we have 3 plus x. So collect like terms, let this x go there, this one move to the other side. That means x rub minus. The plus x come to this other side, become minus x. So 3 plus, this one go there, we have 2y. So what do we do now? We now what? Factorize x out from here. So what we have now? X is common on both sides. What will remain here if we remove x? Y minus 1. Say y minus 1. If we remove x here, y minus 1 equal to what? 3 plus what? 2y. Now what do we do now? Divide both sides by what? Y minus 1 to make what? X stand alone. So x now got what? 3 plus 2y. Y minus 1. So the inverse of this function becomes what? Inverse of this function becomes what? 3 plus 2x over x minus 1. So this is a new what function now, the inverse of the function. Now, when they say find the value of x for which the inverse of this one is undefined. So we are going to concentrate for the only thing that can make this function to be undefined is when x minus 1 to be equal to what? 0. Because if the denominator equal to 0, the entire inverse function becomes undefined. So what will now be our value? X equal to what? 1. So that will be the value of x. Now we're going to look at more analysis on the inverse of the function, but basically I've introduced it and we shall see next time. God bless you.